welcome back to the Magpie Channel TV. Now, in recent weeks, over the last couple of months, I've did a few videos on the future of St James's Park. You know, we've had the possible relocation to the Metro Radio Arena site down there on the quayside, or whatever it's called these days, Utility Arena, I don't know. Anyways, we all knew that probably wasn't going to happen, as I've said in that video, and in the Leazes Park video, that those were just for debates. Those were just topics, those were derived from an article from the Telegraph, really, where they said they had an exclusive with the owners that they were looking at these potential sites. Now, we know, obviously, the quayside one had the housing. I covered that at the time in the video. We obviously know the complications of Leazes Park, because they tried to do it in the 90s and everything else. We'll touch on that maybe a little bit more later on, but you can go back and watch those videos if you like, if you haven't seen them already. But this one is what I've been saving, and I thought it came at a brilliant time, because there has been a video doing the rounds on social media from Bondybot, so big them up first of all for the animation and effort and time that's went into creating this video. I'll just show screenshots from it. I'm not going to nick his material or anything. That's just screenshots. Go out and check the full video on his channel or on Twitter, wherever you want to look at it. But this is with the basics of it, and this is what we're going to talk about, and we're going to go through them options on that video. But I want to lean back to what this video was always going to be about when I eventually decided to bring it out, which was this week, since we haven't got a game this weekend. And that is the million-dollar question for me. You know, what is actually going to happen at St James's Park? Because for now, these are short-term to medium-term targets, because that's what's going to happen. Darren Eales has said it. He said, you know, we're going to look at expansion. We're going to look at trying to grow the current location because we don't want to move from St James's Park, and they're doing the feasibility study at the moment. Those results should be released very soon, to be fair. Those results are set to be released late spring, so we're in that now, believe it or not. The weather would tell you otherwise, as I point out the window, if you're wondering. But you know, that's what's meant to be happening. The results are coming in soon. How we can expand, how we can extend the seats and the capacity at St James's Park. Because the information that's also out there is that Newcastle aren't going to do anything for the next few years. Because of Euro 28 being fast around the corner, you might think, well, that's 4 years away. That 4 years will go like that. And the main thing we're going to talk about in this video is the Gallowgate, because that's where the extension is going to happen. That's what's really going to happen for me at St James's Park. We will extend the Gallowgate. We'll get into that juicy stuff towards the end of the video, because that's what I really think is going to happen. Little spoiler there before we get into the options in the other video. But for me, that is going to be the solution. But for now, we obviously know the Stack Fan Zone is getting built in that area where we would look to extend the stadium, and that is going to be there for 3 years. And then before you know it, it's Euro 2028. I think they'll probably just keep the stack going. I think they'll go on for the 4 years, because they'll keep it there for Euro 2028. You'd be daft to get rid of it. And then once Euro 2028 is over, you've made all the money from all the teams around the world, the fans coming to visit for the Euros, then we'll get rid of the fan zone, then we will start developing the Gallowgate stand. That's my opinion. That's how I think we're going to go. And that's what you look at, really, when you look at Darren Eales, what his comments on it so far, the club, everything else that's actually possible, that's the one that looks to make the most sense. And actually, speaking of Darren Eales not so long ago, and Craig was telling me this, that, you know, over dinner, he said they can't go so high so soon. They don't want to build an 80,000 seater stadium in case they can't sell it out every week. Not saying that we wouldn't, but they look at it as a point where on a Tuesday night, Burnley at home, could we sell out 80,000 seats? Personally, I don't think we're far off, but maybe, you know, certain games would we reach a huge capacity. I'm still saying probably, because we had 50-odd thousand in the Championship under Mike Ashley. But see if they're looking at it as they are from a business standpoint, they don't want to build or extend St James's Park if they could to 70, 80,000 to then have empty seats, because that's terrible for your marketing, for finances, for everything. So what they want is to look at it gradually. And that's why I think they'll add another 8 to 10,000 onto the Gallowgate stand, and maybe try and do some of the East stand as well, to be fair, a few thousand there. Realistically, I think we'll get 62 to 65,000 on the Gallowgate stand. But more on that towards the end of the video, and that will happen after Euro 2028. That's my opinion, chucked straight at you there. I'll talk about it in a little bit more detail. And I tell you what, if they are going to start building on St James's Park and expanding it, the workers need to get themselves to Workwear Express. This video is sponsored by Workwear Express, and as you can see on your screen now, they have some belters on sale at the moment. And as I mentioned, if you're a worker, if you're into building stadiums, or if not, you're just a normal person and you've just got a little business, or you're just anything really, do you know what I mean? Any sort of workwear, it's in the name, it's in the title, they're the place to be for you. Hats, t-shirts, hoodies, jackets, all the proper workwear gear, they are your one-stop shop. They are the best in the game, they are the most trusted in the game, they've been in there for such a long time now. Credible company, great people, and the best of all, it is based in the Northeast. So you can check out the link in the description for Workwear Express. Get yourself some quality gear at Workwear Express. What we'll do now is jump into the screenshots of Bondybot's video for the options that he has said. So, option A is that. It is to extend the Gallowgate. Now, the Gallowgate, we know, that's the one where we've got the room, we've got the land behind it, we can do it. However, we know the complications of the road there, obviously the route to the RVI, the hospital, the metro line underneath the stadium. Look at this from Atletico Madrid, from their old stadium. Cars going right underneath it. That's where we need to be. That's what we need to do. That's the solution solved for me. The stand over the road, there you can. Send it back, sorted. Another 10,000 seats in there, lovely stuff. It's beautiful, isn't it, when it's the same as the Milburn stand and the Leicester stand. So that's obviously option A that they're talking about there, extend the Gallowgate. That's the one, like I've said so far, is the most feasible for me. That's the one that makes sense. That's the one I can actually see us doing. That's the one I think the owners, the architects, the study will come out with the best possible option. The one that makes the most sense and the one that's actually logistical. Now then, on to option B, and this one I just can't see it happening because it's the East Stand and it's the grade listed buildings behind there and all of that. We've talked about this so many times in the past. But for you, if you haven't seen it, the East Stand is grade listed buildings. They've never been touched in history. You can't touch them, you can't move them, you can't do anything. They'll have to get sunlight and all the rest of it. So the East Stand, unfortunately, can't look like it does on that animation. Absolutely amazing. That's the dream. That would be the dream that would stop doing all these discussions if we could just extend the stadium all the way around the same. That's what I'd be loving that. I used to do that in LMA Manager back in the day. So I would love that if we could just do it all the way around. That would be perfect. Ideal scenario. There we go. Move on. But unfortunately, that's not. Option B is probably the least likely to happen for me because we can never build these stand that high. We can never block the grade listed buildings. However, these obviously talk about moving the pitch towards the Milburn, so closing the space there, and then you can separate some meters for the East Stand, bring that in a little bit more, maybe rise it up. I'm sure there would be some sort of structural development where, like I mentioned before, where you could add a few thousand in, maybe like we did move the pitch and you move the dimension of the stand and the actual loft of the stand, and maybe you could squeeze a few more thousand in at a push, but it's not going to be like the animation there, as good as it looks. It's not going to be all the way up, all the way around that big. But there could be some tweaks where you could squeeze a few more thousand in, and that would be nice because that East Stand, it's great because it's, you know, it's traditional, it's been there for bloody forever, and you've got the Newcastle United above it, but just a little bit more would be nice, I think. So they could do something with it, but not as much as that animation suggests for me. That's just my opinion, and obviously going off the back of the gold gorillas and stuff. Now then, the most interesting one for me, and the one that looks absolutely unbelievable when you see the images in a minute, is option C, and that is a rebuild. So obviously at the time of this, where they could do it just past, so the location remains the same. You know, that's the positive thing. We all bounce around and say, oh, but it's in the heartbeat of the city. It's so close to the train station, the pubs and everything else. City centre, we want it there. Well, with this, you still have that. Do you know what I mean? You still have the stadium right there. It's just beyond there in Leicester Park. However, again, the complications with this one. I've already did a video on Leicester Park, and where he's put it there, I don't think it's possible where that would literally be right next to the lake and over the bandstand, because again, it goes into all this difficulties of, you know, heritage and the site and all the greenery stuff and the peacekeepers and all these people that own the parks and the Freemans. Oh, it's a right old minefield, and that's why Sir John Hall couldn't get it off the ground in the 90s. But maybe now it could be different. You know, maybe now obviously there's a lack of investment in those park areas. Maybe now we could, with the old Saudi money, encourage it, get around it, do a deal. They could have some land back from where the old St James's is. We could put the new stadium there. I don't know, I just think it'd be really difficult. There'll be so many boundaries and people and organisations to get around to do it in Leicester Park. As amazing as that looks, by the way, in front of the lake, Leicester Park Stadium, that looks quality, to be fair. And that's the state-of-the-art brand new beauty right there that a lot of people, to be fair, online were saying this. You know, on the videos that were on Twitter, people were saying option C is the way forward. You know, I used to want to say St James, but now option C is the best. We need that brand new big stadium. Look at Atlanta, we're playing in pre-season. Look at Spurs' stadium, the money they make and everything. So that's option C. Again, for me, this one will be very long-term. Listen, like I said, Darren Eales has said the 5-year plan is to begin extending St James Park. That's basically what he said in a couple of interviews. That's what I've heard from a couple of sources. that they want to get it up to like 65k and see if they can sell it out every week. And then hopefully by the time that's done, we are competitive, we are challenging for titles every year, and then the demand will grow, and then they'll think, right, we're ready now to build a 75,000 seater stadium. That's the way I look at it. That's the way I think the club are going to look at it. I think for now, in the next 5 years, the short and medium term plan is to extend St James's Park, maybe add a couple of thousand on the East Stand if possible, but the majority, I believe, where the focus will be is on the Gallowgate Stand and extending that to 7,000, 8,000 extra seats, maybe 10 at a push, over the road, over into where the fan zone is now. So like I said, 4 or 5 years down the line. We're waiting to hear more officially from the club soon. Hopefully we'll see that feasibility study should be out very soon, where they've obviously asked architects, fans, members, all these different people, their thoughts, opinions, and what's actually possible. And the one that makes sense, the one that's achievable, is extending the Gallowgate. So we can do that, I think, and I think we will do that, and I think you'll see St James's Park reach about 62 to 65,000 capacity in 5, 6, 7 years' time. And then, as I said, if we become successful as we hope we are, then we can look at building a new stadium, or maybe even just extend in other little areas, a few thousand, yeah, a few thousand. Because but I think long-term PIF will want a brand new shiny stadium. I think they will. But I think that's a long way down the line. You know, you see these pictures, and we've talked about it in videos, where you see massive stadiums on the quayside and stuff. Not anytime soon. Not anytime soon at all, to be fair. So maybe in the future, yeah. But for now, St James's Park will be the same for the next 3, 4 years. And then we'll extend 1 or 2 of the stands, and then we'll get cracking on a new stadium. That's what I think will actually happen at St James's Park and beyond. As I've said previously, I would like to just stay at St James's Park, extend it as big as you could, get 80,000, 70,000 there. I don't think that's going to happen. I really don't. I'm not sure how much it's really going to benefit us in the long term massively to get towards 62, 65,000. However, if you built a new 75,000 seater stadium, then that's going to really benefit us with all the, fancy. I know people aren't going to like it because, we're old school in that, but football is a business now. And you've even seen it, the amount of different hospitality things that are at St James's now already. Since, the wings and the leasers, the terraces now, what used to be the Gallowgate Lounge, they've done everything up. And you've seen it for the Champions League, how different it got. So long term, it's going to have to be like that. And you see it at Spurs, you see it at all these, like that Mercedes-Benz Stadium I mentioned in Atlanta. So you see it everywhere. And that's the way football is. Football's going. So I think long term, that'll be the plan. And I think we're going to have to do it. For me, I don't mind. I think getting that big new fancy stadium will be amazing. I've been to Tottenham Stadium, it's class. Then at the same time, you will be gutted to lose the history and the tradition at St James's Park. But I think eventually we'll have to move with the times, but we won't have to for the next 5, 10 years for me. So there we go. That's my thoughts. Like I said, I wish we could just do St James's Park all the way around, like the Leasers, like the Millburn, but it's not possible. So give me a brand new stadium. I'm just joking. I'm going to be happy. I'll be happy when the Galaxy extend, and then we'll see where we go from there, really. And that's how the club look at it. You know what I mean? The club will say, let's get a 65 first, see what's happening there, see what the wait is there for bloody ballots and season tickets, and then we'll move from there. And hopefully we're moving up the league and we're challenging. Cheers everyone for watching this one. Drop your thoughts below. What options do you think's best in that video? A, B or C? What do you want to happen? And what do you think will actually happen at St James's Park? Cheers everyone. Subscribe to the channel and I'll see you on the next one.